Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good day, everyone. Here I am, Putri Afiatul Roudoh. Today, I want to present the research that I have done. It's talk about dentistry students' perception of online learning during the COVID-19 pandemic. And here's the outline from my research. First is introduction. Second is literature review. Third is research method. Fourth, result. And five, discussion and conclusion. For introduction. So here the question for you guys. Are you the student in this year? If the answer is yes, so surely you also feel the online learning policy due COVID-19 pandemic. And here's to begin. The epidemic that is emerging in the world today is called COVID-19 that began to appear in December 2019. And this COVID-19 is from city of Wuhan and spreading very quickly to Indonesia. The current condition have prompted the Indonesian government to implement various policies to inhibit the spread of this coronavirus. One of them is by the implementation of large-scale social restrictions, or it's called by PSBB. One of the policy of PSBB is closing all public facilities, including the schools and university. So, this policy is for schools and university to carry out online learning from home for all their students. And this implementation of e-learning during the COVID-19 pandemic at the University of Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta has not been studied. So, by conducting research related to this, it will very give contribution to the university as an evaluation to improve the learning system. And this study was conducted to discuss more about the students' perception of online learning during the COVID-19 pandemic. And specifically is real interested to following question that with research is one, online learning effective for dental students in all aspect include their skills or not? And the second is, do the activities in online learning have the same nuance or at least approach the learning activities in face-to-face learning? And then here's for literature. According to Saifuddin, states that online learning in distance learning that connects with their learning research with the internet physically separately, but can communicate and interact with each other. And from according to Hermawan NTS, about the definition of perception is the stage of knowing the environment, including objects, people, and symbols, or signs that involve the process of recognition. Each of the aspects of learning are briefly reviewed, with a subsequent discussion of how the online learning components integrated in the two courses were chosen with this dimension in mind. And online learning has made it difficult for students to concentrate. Participant is still loud during learning and has difficulty understanding the subject matter taught by the teacher. And these difficulties can occur because students are used to learning that is carried out face-to-face. And then for the research method, I use the quantitative study. I use the questionnaire as an instrument to find out the perception of dentistry students to their perception of online learning during the COVID-19 pandemic. And the participants in this study were 27 students of dentistry at University Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta, and the questionnaire is constructed as multiple choice. And the questionnaire is collection of the data will be conducted through Google Form online questionnaire by the address, and the researcher spread the link through the line and WhatsApp. And then for the result, so in this table 1 is displays 3 options for the respondent to answer the question for number 1 until 8. And there are yes, no, and maybe. For question 1 until 2, the researcher asks about the general knowledge of the online learning. Participants agreed with online learning during a pandemic is 70.4%, and disagreed in 3.1%, and probably agreed in 25.9%. And participants is also state that almost all of them in the 81.5%, one of them can operate the online learning application. And this shows that the implementation of online learning during a pandemic can be applied because they agree and they can operate the application. And then in the question of number 3 until 8, the researcher asks about the participant got from online learning. Many of them answer not too sure or maybe on this question. From the question, researcher asks about can they understand the material during online learning? The answer may be at 63%. And when researcher asks about whether they master the material in online learning, and they answered maybe at 40.7%. And for the question, the researcher asks about whether they mastered the skills in online learning, they answered maybe at 55.6%. And when researcher asks about whether they are motivated when learning online, the answer may be at 51.9%. But for the question from researchers, that researchers asks about whether they get an atmosphere in online learning that is similar to offline learning, the answer no in 40.7. And then for next table, for table 2 is displays 5 scale options for the respondent to answer the question number 9 until 10, starting from 1 is very bad and 5 is very good. In question 9 until 10, the researcher asks about the participant perceptions about the scale that participant will give to effectiveness and recommended online learning to keep going. And the question of what the scale of effectiveness of the online learning, the participant answered most of a scale is in fourth, that is in 44.4%. And on the question of how many scales to recommend online learning continue to run is most participants answered on scale of 4 to in 55.6. So for our discussion about this result is about this study is aims to find out is online learning effective or for dental students in all aspects or not. So from this result, researchers found out that online learning is not very effective for dental students, considering they need to master a lot of theory and skills to really become a dentist. And it is also found out that most of the participants answer no the question whether they have same nuance or at least approach the learning activities in face-to-face learning. And then this all research is accordance with research that has also been done before, like by Ulfia in 2020. They say these difficulties can occur because students are used to learning that is carried out face-to-face. And the participant is also recommended online learning continues in table 2 because this is because online learning make it easier for participants. And this is also accordance with research that been also done before in the research by Adijaya and Santosa. They say online learning can be done from anywhere and anytime according predetermined agreement between teaching staff and student. So here's to begin the conclusion. The online learning process, which is a manifestation of the distance education program, although it cannot be said to be ideal, has had a very relevant impact on the importance of mastering and using information technology in education. But this method cannot be said to be fully effective to be applied among dental students because due to a lack of understanding both in terms of theory or skills processed by students, and this could have a big impact on dentists in the future. And however, such learning can be easily mastered through face-to-face learning. And is it possible for students to end up being unmotivated in learning during the online learning? And for fulfilling our expect that can support from ideal students, of course, has a become necessity and obligation in facing the increasingly strong flow information and communication technology in development. So direct interaction between lecturers and students, between students and students is also very much need in success of learning. Therefore, face-to-face learning activities are expected to occur in addition to online learning that is currently being carried out. So the implication of this research that the perception of students can provide an overview for university and lecturers to be able to consider more about the online and offline lecture system, and by considering the existing factor, and most importantly regarding students as understanding of the material. And that's all. I hope you can understand what I explained before. Thank you for listening. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.